In this video, you're going to learn the Jacob's Ladder cable stitch, which is way easier than a regular cable stitch and really easy to work into almost any pattern. It's one of the other stitches I'll be using in my upcoming video on making Link's hat from The Legend of Zelda, which will hopefully be the first in a series of cosplay crochet projects. So if that sounds like a fun time, feel free to subscribe. Anyway, let's get started. You're going to start with a foundation chain of 7 stitches plus 1 stitch which counts as your turning chain. Next, you're going to single crochet across that foundation row, working a total of 7 single crochet stitches. For the third row, you're going to chain 1 and turn again, but on this row you're only going to single crochet 3 stitches across and then stop. When you get to that 4th stitch, work a slip stitch into it instead of a single crochet and chain 10 stitches. You don't have to work back into these chains, so it's okay if they are a little bit tighter than your foundation row. Then, without twisting that row of chains, you're going to slip stitch right back into the 4th stitch, and this creates a loop in the center of your work. As you play with the stitch, you might find that you want more or less chains in your loop, but 10 is a good place to start. Now, we still have the last 3 stitches of that row to take care of, so go ahead and single crochet into each of them to finish out your row. Chain 1 and let's work our next row. You're going to work 3 single crochets like normal. And then 1 single crochet into the center of your loop. It's a little bit easier to do this if you pull that loop forward. Work the 4th single crochet into that space and then finish the last 3 single crochets in that row. Chain 1 and turn. You're going to repeat those 7 single crochets again. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, chain 1 and turn, and work another row across what is now the back side of your work. If you're doing the stitch in the round or with a shorter center loop, you might need to adjust the number of rows in between your loops. In this case, I have 3 rows of single crochets in between each loop. Now, on this next row, we're going to do another chain 10 in the center, which will give us loop number 2. Single crochet 3, slip into the 4th space, chain 10, slip stitch back into the 4th space to close that loop, and single crochet 3 to finish the row. Beyond that, you're just repeating that pattern and letting your loops hang out loose until you get to the end of your project. For this video, I just did 3 loops and 3 rows on top of that last row with a loop in it, and now it's time to weave our loops through each other to get that braided cable look. You can either use a hook to do this or your bare hands, whichever feels easier. Go ahead and grab loop number 1, the first one that you worked, and hold it while you pull the second loop down through it. Pull that second loop back towards the top of your work, and then pull the third loop through the second loop, and so on and so forth. Just make sure you're not twisting the loops when you weave them through each other. To keep them from unraveling and to hold that top loop in place, you're going to work a final row of single crochets across the top, making sure you insert your hook through the top loop to secure it down in the center. I like to work 2 or 3 stitches into the center of the loop just to help it spread out and keep its shape like the ones below it. With a little bit of practice and some adjusting of numbers, this is an incredibly versatile method for working cables into a variety of projects. You can use it with more than just the single crochet stitch, and it can also be done in the round. I used a variation of the Jacob's ladder stitch on the Stice bag, along with the waistcoat stitch in place of single crochets, and I will be making a video tutorial for that project in the very near future, so stay tuned if you're interested in that. Anyway, let me know if there's a stitch that you'd like me to cover on this channel, and if you found this helpful and want to keep hanging out, it would be so cool of you to subscribe. There are over 500 of you guys hanging out with me on this channel, and it makes me so happy to hear about the projects you're working on. So thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.